Shock at his great moments, and unless all three of those guys drop off and get no frags in this map, I just see no way in now for ONYX.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and you'd have to imagine that for ONYX, they've got to get started early, try and see if they can get in with a new mentality, fresh positivity for the camp itself, and for Sinners, just play like they did on map 1, play with a lot of confidence, be able to get that cohesion forward, and it could just come down to this opening pistol to set the pace.
Glock straight in T side, making their way up, spotting the individuals coming out of the gate. Great in Impulse and Dimkey get their kills. Beestick can get one responsive back as Bondic struggles to get his trades. Beestick turns it into a triple, and just like that, they've overwhelmed all the ramp presence. Got to leave it to Oscar to try to do out the rest of the heavy lifting because he's on 72 HP. The T side will make their way out towards Helga, wrap around towards the A plant.
And how has that even happened? Yeah, JR's gathering all of the information. Beestick just with so many kills out from that ramp entrance that really didn't seem like that was going to be possible at all. Bondic spotting out the Heaven player, trying to draw the attention, allow JR to get that backstab in.
Kill against him still comes out for Oscar, and he looks back in, a double up on Bondic. And what a recovery it was from Beestick and Oscar. Pistol goes the way of the Sinner side after ONYX had such a stellar start leg.
They really did. They did well. They had a triple ramp stack. So, to be fair, the positioning was what really gave them the advantage. And then they just started losing fights to Beestick, and from there, things get out of hand pretty quickly. Force by territory is going to be coming through. We're seeing a swag 7 out for Dimkey. I like this.
So, and with a shotgun that can be effective here on Nuke. Wouldn't surprise me if it didn't get at least a kill or two. Sat on top of the hut and looking down onto Marshmallow. We'll go ahead and join Dav back here, peeking against Shock. Shot takes down the bomb carrier. The bomb's now in CT control and vision. Rotations inbound, and Dimkey's going to stick around here alongside Dav's SMG. Sinners better be ready for this kill. Found the first player. Shots ringing out a bit overzealous there from Dimkey, forcing around the corner. Can't catch that player, but gets spammed back through the walls, so the recoveries are there, but the CTs are still dishing out damage. 2v2.
It's just getting crazy. Just so many chaotic fights in terms of aggression from the CTs coming forward. And Impulse has really no way that he could drive back up his teammate except from the floor itself. The scout getting the tag, needs to finish off the kill, and indeed he does. Oscar with the trade back knows where the last player is. He's actually looking for the fight itself.
In the end, loses it out to Impulse of the USP, so ONYX can steal around the round 1-1 on that board as the force buy with the Mag 7 mostly did a lot of damage, a lot of money being gained by Dimkey here. $1,800 on the 2 frags. Real solid stuff overall, and ONYX again is taking out the round because of it.
Yeah, Impulse being able to just finish off the job. I guess, at least for Oscar, he could have just got that bomb and gone straight out towards the ramp control and dive lower. Instead, wants to try and take that fight, and it allows ONYX to be able to chime back pretty quickly.
And if there's a half for ONYX to set themselves up against Sinners, it would be the CT side. But at least they're off on the right foot by resetting the loss bonus and getting Sinners to drop back a little bit. Smokes on the outside control. T's will make their way downstairs. Bit of an unorthodox set of smokes as well. There's a slight gap to work with if you're looking from the back box. But from Heaven and from Hell, it's pretty much smoked off entirely, so they get downstairs, but he will lose that first kill to JR.
Yeah, I don't think those are actually thrown correctly, honestly. Yeah, it does allow them to get escape route into that secret position. There's just a massive gap in it for anyone else aggressively outside to watch in. And now just being quite passive on the CT basis. Neofrag's trying to see if he can open up from Squeak Door itself. Shock out from that ramp position. Sinners just need a pick back.
Two taps, Shock not connecting. Gonna continue rapping with his teammates. See the one player, and Bondic gets them both for SMG kills and money gained for the CT side. Zedko and Oscar, last 2 players, also flanked up by JR. Gets his second kill in the round. Trades and Zedko is solid for him. Recognizing their second CT player out in the vents. Can't land the kill shot on Dav though. 1 HP, he stays alive. Is the second to the board. ONYX have the lead.
Keep it tight early on. Exactly what the Serbians are looking for. JR just working with the self-smoke down at that lower bomb site himself. Even Bondic out from ramp doing well. The 2 Ukrainians working together in that round.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Eco basis for Sinners going to dive straight down into the vents mode, apart by SMGs and AKs. Impulse with 2 JR with 2 more. And 1 more flyer to fall down to the hands of Dav. 3-1, ONYX now up against the full buy.
I got to think too that for ONYX start working with this momentum, start working with the threatening nature of their early lead. Impulse just being able to line up quite well with a teammate. AWP is going to be coming through from him. They're going to keep that AK over for JR. ONYX just trying to see if they can create some early opportunity here on Nuke.
So in with the defaults for now, Sinners. Nade, spray, damage. Done in minimal amounts, chip amounts against them. Teams try to work their way into that ramp control. Oscar's expecting aggression, and he might just get it.
They're trying to bait him, though. ONYX making a lot of sound cues to allow a peek to come forward when it gets silent. And that's going to be able to get the AWP into that sightline in terms of the cross. Sinners are not really getting baited by any of these sound cues at all from Bondek. It does mean that some early nade sets are going to be used by that city side in terms of baiting out the util. Sinners, very passive. Only now thinking about going for some outside smokes.
Utility goes down. Bondek leans up for Mars in. Trying to catch T-side members, but doesn't see anything. Incendiary is also set and ready. 35 to the clock, and they do take a fight. Bondek gets tagged up for it. Incendiary set and taps. Continue to try and hunt for the kills, but Sinners are running out of time. They've got to go for the hit.
It seems to be a ramp fake to a walk in towards the upper bomb side itself. Beastic has to be able to clear out this top position, completely blind. Still wins that fight to Dim Key.
Pre-aimed it and held it together. Player in the backside. Dav's got a hold on. He gets one kill. Zedco trades it. Beastic still watches out for CT's on a rotate shot. Gets his frag involved and also bails out position. Bondek alone. Sprayed up through the walls. Getting out of dodge. Back up to the roofs as he escapes with an AK and concedes a second to Sinners.
That was really well achieved from Sinners. Just the coordination of who's watching where, what utilities coming forward. The fact that Beastic outside can wrap into main, have his crosshair placed onto Dav, still be completely blind, and win out that fight. That is unreal.
Yeah, real solid pre-aiming and real solid shooting there from Sinners. Ultimately turning things into a round with ONYX being shocked and stunned into silence. Maybe those conversions might not last forever. At least they've gained the initial advantage of knowing that they've gone a little bit further than what their initial start was in this matchup. But Sinners now has their chance to catch up with the guns back out on the ONYX force buy. I think a couple of weapons being brought back in alongside the AWP, and a timeout has been called. I imagine that this is tactical to the nature of the ONYX side.
Well, I respect the fact that we're actually seeing tacticals being used by ONYX in map 1 and in map 2, because sometimes you do get the feeling that if you're the underdog team that it's starting to run away with you, and we just don't see the tax in all. We are seeing them here from ONYX. Knowing that this map is definitely not over. Sinners, I guess for them, it's just about being able to try and tie it up and then start pressing forward to a lead itself.
We got the weapons out. Down a util inset piece for Sinners to get outside. Smokes on. Incendiaries ready to try and counteract them here from ONYX. Oscar leaning in past the red box. Shock ready for a flashbang. Put this out over towards the squeaky door. He's got the bomb on his back as well, so this is going to be a split play. Beastic again pre-aims JR, gets a spray together rather than a headshot. Close vent, there's one player. Brianfred's going to jump around the corner, turn towards him. Almost gets the player behind him as well, but it's still double up. With accurate shooting again from the AK. It's a 5 versus 2. Impulse and Bondek left to save.
Both players just pretty much swapping each other's positions, weren't they? Neofrag being able to crack open a couple of kills that upper bomb side. Does get traded eventually by Impulse, and for Sinners, they can go hunting onto these last couple of City players.
The Impulse next to drop, and Bondek just left to save that AK. It'll be a 3-all as Sinners equalize against ONYX and take away a lot of their investment here. Heavy, heavy rebuy to force the issue back into this round, and it's going to come up completely short for the CT side.
Yeah, Bondek just hoping that there is no further hunt that comes in. Sinners looking very clean in their executions towards the upper bomb side. Haven't really seen much towards lower just yet. Whether that changes, I'm sure it will. 3-3. And just have a look at the sequence again. Beasting just rounded the corner. JR half blinded. It was this sequence though for Neofrag. The adjustment back over to the default player. Lovely stuff.
Now, Eco Pistols set in for ONYX. Upgrades on Deagles on 2. USP, P2K. That AK saved by ONYX should be the only main weapon that you expect to do any damage for the CT side. Dav will try press into the lobby control. Has ONYX right behind him, so it's bait and switch to allow the trade to come in for the CT player. No one's indoors, they're all working outside. I think there might be one player out of Squeaky at the moment, and he does get caught by ONYX. That's one casualty taken. And Sinners conceding an AK back to the CT side.
It's early information quickly for ONYX to just start diving players down to that lower bomb site itself. JR's got to be careful about how he faces next because he's going to have a lot of T-side players out to that left-hand side of garage.
Caught by B-Stick for the trade involved. 4v4 once again. They're an Impulse now. Next up the challenge here at the locker rooms. He should be faced upon by the T's eventually. There's no real backup around him. He's completely isolated and quite literally held in a corner.
And they might just completely evade him. So misinformation, misdirection could come through. Impulse is trying to give as much information forward as possible. The timing for Dav, he may have just missed him as he comes up from Secret.
We do find the one-for-one trades back out towards lockers. Finally, Neofrag gets an advantage for the T side. Do we save or do we go? It looks like we go here. Dav does isolate Neofrag, so keep the damage on the board against the T side line. And he gets a kill on Zedco. This just become very possible now for these two CTs. Smokes up towards Squeaky with a flashbang as well. Orp fires. Oscar misses. Deagle on with a Molotov ready to go towards the bomb plant position. Molotov to drive him out of heaven. He's got to place this perfectly. They're on it. They're on it. They're not moving. Further flashes is going to be suppressed here. Molotov goes back, trying to drive off of the position, but he's going to hold it. The Molotov's gone too far. It's well miscoordinated, and Oscar's going to have to concede the round. ONYX somehow still an eco.
Dav just being able to do lights work in that one. He's the one guy that just doesn't even have any armor. And with the AK, he just continues to do damage forward. Dimkey getting the information of the rapid from heaven. Neofrag so far out in the open from the rafters itself. Could have just dropped down to the side. And surely someone must have communicated where that bomb was planted for, because that molly was nowhere near the bomb.
With big mistakes being made. Bashes forward as the AK is forced back in with Sinners to try and recover this scenario. They're not going to allow ONYX to go much further than this, or at least they don't want to let it go much further than this. And a much better showing in the start of this map up by comparison to the previous one. Dav has taken a lot of early damage here on the A site, so it's not ideal here in this round.
No, JR's not seeing anything in terms of the mini-cross, and I guess that's something they're going to keep trying to have their eyes on, because Sinners have tried that a few times where they've just wrapped in for the split into upper. Might see that again. Neofrag with the door pretty much completely opened up for him. Another resmoke goes down to Squeaky. That's going to waste some further time.
Dav's holding Incendiary in from Dimkey. He's going to try to drive him out of position. Teammate to drop down. Information's going to get called out by Sinners. Nades in. Tags up Shock. Body block also knows that he's out there. They've got a ton of info with that piece of util. Impulse. Sees the Squeaky door open up. Flashbang in. T-side players see the Molotov's out. Orp shot misses. Dimkey can get a kill involved, but Neofrag gets his trades. Dimkey lines up two more with a bomb out in the open now. Oscar and B-Stick have got a lot of work to do. Try to recover this in 30 seconds. The AWP is close. The AK is creeping up towards Mini. Oscar's going to be the central focus, though, because there's a CT that's still so close. Dow has not moved at all, and his position's going to work well for him. A kill on 17 points of health, and JR to clear up the last.
Great stuff in from Dimkey. You see the way in which Impulse is just slow walking into the crack angle, getting hit by so much of that utility. Can't quite hit the shot at all onto a couple of players, and Dimkey survives in that round, continues doing damage. He was the reason they converted it there.
Another great round for ONYX to increase their lead, to extend it a bump at the Sinners. Try to disallow this T-side from getting any major control. Orpin shot out for Oscar, does find Impulse and finds JR, and he's right back into the swing of things.
Oh, that's what they needed. Some pace, some acceleration, and my goodness, what a way to be able to strike 5-on-3 advantage before you can even blink. Dav even getting baited forward. Oscar could be on for another.
Gets his shot. Easy pick. Dimkey can't find one trade back on the man, but it's a 4v2 still. Sinners have all of the control. They have all the map positioning. Zedco dropping in against Dimkey. Can't win that fight. Bondik once again on the 1vx, 1v4 this time. Bomb making its way into the A site, but Zedco just shuts him down before they even get any further than the main entrance. Their fourth round of the border. Sinners continuing to keep themselves within one.
Yeah, Impulse will feel as if he was unlucky in that situation when the AWP v AWP duel comes in. He's not able to find the connection. Oscar just doing his own stuff, his own thing, and just finding so many impactful picks in that round. Zedco even dropping down. Bondik cannot find anything. One kill gets come in from Shock, and that's all that ONYX are able to find. And even the buyback doesn't look that great. Some pace coming through for the vent dive.
Downstairs immediately for Neofrag, not wasting any time getting himself set up. Still gets found by JR. The opening kill goes the way of the CT side SMG. And do a little bit more. The AWP of Impulse watches towards the outside position, but sees nothing so far. There's no smokes. They're going to cross out, completely blinded, and the shot misses for the AWP as well. So a little bit of luck there for Sinners, taking a lot of risks peeking dry.
Yeah, without a doubt. Oh my goodness, Impulse thinking about starting to move back. And look, that's a situation you've got to be taking. And for Sinners now, you start working outside. You're lucky that pick doesn't come in.
Further shots back for the AWP, the T side. Trying to get those trades in, but they've just been unable to find an opportunity so far. Nine's down for Oscar. Up. Leaning in. 40 seconds, the Sinners continue the campaign straight into the B side. JR has contact. Oscar can't turn it back. The timing was so perfect for the CTs, but they can't capitalize. And now the Sinners are in the B site with no CT contact at all.
Oh, that's sick. Just to be able to get that no-scope, that one pick changes the whole complexion of this round, and this really has to be a save. Get out of there. No way it's going to happen. Shock doing further damage. He's the player towards top side.
Dimkey just getting caught. Impulse and Bondik have got to save again. We'll go 5 apiece. The Sinners again can catch up. They can do all that they work with. ONYX. Not a lot of money in reserve as well for the CT side. Finally, that economy game is going to catch up to them, and they could even lose another player in Bondik. He does catch that kill on Shock, so there's that. The Sinners have the round.
There's not a buy on the table here for ONYX at all. ONYX taking the tactical, just take the mental breather, realize the situation they're in. And that one right there, they started off so well. JR finding that first pick. You thought for a moment the T's may overlook that vent position and JR can sort of sneak in towards decontamination, get them behind, and it was just a matter of timing with the peek forward. ONYX, I'm glad they're looking stronger here on Nuke than they are on Inferno. Again, this is a map that they picked quite heavily. They played it in a couple of games in the Adria qualifier to get into this position. They've picked it against Fate, they've picked it against 777, they've picked it against New Belarus. So it is a map they like to pick. It's just that they don't quite get many good results on it. And right now, they're showing us glimpses of what they have to offer.
Not enough to hold the definitive advantage, though. 5 all on the board. Sinners could look to overtake ONYX right here. With the buy being where it is, as you mentioned before, the way they probably should end up being theirs. USPs, P250s, the AK and the AWP being the only thing saved in from the previous round. But even then, the AKs and the T-side have evaded both those players' contact. The AWP towards outside could still find a peek back in. B-Stick has caught him when he's looking the wrong way, so there is no outside presence at all from the CT side. Zedco engages in against JR. They get those kills, but Bondik and Dimkey try and right back. 3v3 on the responsive. The AWP and the AK are still in play.
This looks okay, honestly. If they can try and catch Oscar off guard with a re-smoke down from Squeak Door, the NWP's up close and personal.
Calling out, utility at the wrong timing, tries to deal with Dav. ONYX gonna come forward in a 1 versus 2. Neofrag with one trade, he's lost his teammates and he's known to the backside. Repositioning, evading that flashbang. The bomb is behind the silos, though, and Neofrag has no info on the second man. Both AWPs in the hands of the T-side players. 20 seconds, kit on Dav. Low HP for him. Neofrag just waiting. His Impulse going to check this. Footsteps heard. Scope in. Headshot. Spray through. Gets it to a 1v1. Dav still has the defuse kit, though. He knows exactly where he is. Going to tap it once. Try to force the player forward. Scope in. Shoulder bait. He gets crossed it, but still 5 seconds to the defuse. Dav can hold it. Dav can hold it. Neofrag's going to peek in. He'll just catch the tap and just catch the round for Sinners.
You could not have played that clutch any better. That is played to absolute perfection to come through there for Neofrag. Just the way that he's working with the timer. Oscar gets caught off guard. Shock as well falls, and he's just got to try and work it. Impulse, another missed AWP shot that could have come in on the wraparound, and he's working with that internal timer. Less than half a second on the clock. Gets that tap forward. Sinners, that was a beautiful round.
Barely held together. Still losing so much in that respect, though. JR's AED set towards outside. Flash is coming in. JR and Dav can hold down the trades here. The crossfire towards Squeaky Door. Dimkey also on site chimes in with 2 frags. Turns flick back around 45 degrees to a 3K. And ONYX immediately shut down Sinners.
All right, Dimkey. Now, we are really starting to see something. Early trades out from the squeak door position itself. Just the adjustment, left, right, left. Oh boy, this last kill to the AWPer. Whew. All right, I'm impressed.
That was a really solid round. They've still got to gain a follow-up, though. Sinners are forcing the issue right back, and they turn their pistols into a kill. Dimkey, they back on towards the hot position. We're just going to keep going back and forth here. For ONYX, their CT side is starting to run out on them. They need to gain the next 3 rounds for my money if they want to have a chance. And Oscar turns his AWP in against Dav, deals with him. So 4 versus 3. And look at Neofrag. Look at how far out he's gotten. They don't even know about it. Bondic is not going to get killed off just yet. The AWP for Impulse, though, goes back to hell and catches the man. Saves his teammate from certain disaster.
Mad stuff. Did he even check that angle after a teammate's done the exact same thing but hasn't looked into the back lines? That could have been an easy couple of kills. Instead, 1 check from Impulse was the difference maker.
Now Dimkey walks on. M4 sees the bomb carrier. B-Stick already in squeaky. Shots ringing out from Shock. Let's see if we can rotate away as B-Stick hopes to catch players coming into the rotations. Incendiary's back to heaven. Oscar has gained that side of the map. Impulse on rotate, and Dimkey drops B-Stick, leaving it all to Shock and Oscar. 2v3. ONYX deal with the man, leaving it all to the AWP.
Yeah, 1v3 attempt coming through from Oscar. How likely is this really to be? Time is low, bomb is dropped. Might think about just trying to save onto the AWP itself. Knowing that they forced up the investment around it, ONYX, a great opportunity for them to be able to take the lead back.
It will end up being that opportunity capitalized upon. In the end, Oscar decides best to save. Hold on to the AWP. Get it in for the next round, which still won't be a buy for the T side. There's still not enough cash in the bank. This one has been a test for Sinners. I mean, it's been a test for ONYX the same. It's not been quite as confident as it was on map 1.
Hey, you're right about that. Sinners are being not completely read out in this map. It's just that it's starting to be that ever so much of a push forward. ONYX starting to make some aggressive moves, and for ONYX, even if they could just get a lead going into the second half, even if they could just get it to 8, that's an advantage to work with.
Leaning in the M4 set. Impulse and Dimkey find their picks back. JR tries to bring edge against 1 player. Transfers his spray to the second. And that's good night, Sweet Prince, for this particular eco. Zedco, try to look for his exit frag. Can't quite land it. Backup has arrived. And now there should be really no way back in for him in this particular round. This should be an 8 for ONYX. Sinners will try and make it at least 8-7. 1 good kill for Zedco. No more than that.
No, not going to make a huge difference in the round itself in terms of the economy state. 1 player dropping, lots of money for the CTs to work with. JR showing up some good sequences too. Having a much better performance this time around than he did in their last game in V4. Zedko just getting one with the AWP. Krieg out from Neofrag. I think that's the first Krieg of the entire day, Jay. We haven't seen any Kriegs.
Entire tournament, I think? I don't think we saw one for last week.
Yeah, we really don't see many.
Well, after they got nerfed, no one wants to use them anymore. Thanks, Valve. Appreciate that. I mean, I do appreciate it because it was way overused.
Bring back the
day,
Krieg.
but no, don't bring back the Krieg. Leave it the way it is. One deck. Oh, swung upon by B-Stick. Kill found. Nice start. And they're just going to charge straight into B. Not waste any time to deal with the AWP of Impulse here. Bomb could be denied. The Molotov comes in, and the flick is great to catch a 4v4.
Oh, they want to aggress him, though. They want to really try and fight forward, and Dav gets caught off by Zedko. There is a backstab out from Ramp. They've got no idea about. The AWP has no idea, and that shot catching him completely off guard.
Shock draws their attention rather than waiting to get the perfect kill moment. Zedko hearing footsteps up on the upper bomb site, expecting there to be a event rotation, I should say. Leans back in towards Secret instead. Gets JR, leaves it all on Dimkey. 1v4. Swing out to try and get this retake together, but surely it should be all impossible here. Sinners won't quite have the confidence, but they do still have 8-7 at the turn of the T side half. The CT side could be where they take things over after the break. Eight-7 up for ONYX again. They hold a lead considering their one-sided defeat on their map pick. This is definitely encouraging for them, but now their T side is where the real challenge could pick up for them. Shock holding defensive here for the Sinner side here with the pistol round out towards the ramp control. Gets 2 headshots. Dimkey and JR to drop. 5v3. USP's holding, reload of the pistols. Bondic dies down, trying to join his teammate as Shock just gets out of dodge. Waits for backup, but still takes engagements of headshots. 3 kills to his name, looking for the Quadra. May just get it. Look for the ace as well. Shock needs no support. He can hold the B site on his own.
Honestly, what a madman. The way that he's able to not only strike with a couple of kills in this ramp control itself, but fall back to that lower bomb site, get behind the default position, and just continue doing damage, isolating so many of those 1v1s. A perfect ace coming through. That's going to give him so much confidence moving forward.
8 all. Damage done to Dimkey to start things off with utility. Smokes down, and Famar standing by for Neofrag. taps up from Oscar. I'm going to catch these players off. ONYX. Happy to sit pretty and wait here. Try to find their window, their gap, their opportunity to get a bomb plant. That might be the best they hope for in this round.
It's difficult though, right? Nuke, bomb plants, T-side without really much investment at all. You can try and sort of B-hop with your head down, try and make it as difficult as possible for those headshots to come in. Even Shock could be on for another ace.
M4 stands by. Raise through, 1 frag, 2 frags, only the 2 frags. JR can trade him. Grab that rifle to work with now for the rest of the T round. The Sinners now know where they all are. They must have seen all the information towards that T-side presence. Oscar closed down the decon door. They back on the back of the site. Stop there. All entry routes. Maybe even go out towards lobby on the wraparound. Deny a backstep position here for ONYX.
They've got options. If they can get this pick, go back up to the heaven position, try and see if they can get into A side itself. Think about hunting Zedco. Think about, okay, can we make another frag into this round possible? They're going to start baiting. That bomb gets dropped. Now this round is pretty much over. Zedco's got a couple more players to face. More damage coming through. There could be another pick.
Trying to engage on several CT individuals and does catch 1 player off guard, so there's that. 2 players to remain. Zedco.
After time?
Loving this. No. Ah, couldn't quite get it. He does die after time, though. That's massive. You're right about that. Well stalled there from Sinners. That's going to have massive impact for the next buy.
Yeah, it really will. And sometimes that's why you'll just see the fight not try and come through. Yeah, Zedco loses his life, so there is a FAMAS, 2 flashes, or at least, you know, some util and armor that's being wasted in that sort of situation. And a lot of players that went down to a Glock round eco, it's still being able to disrupt the economy. And Bondic, he's going to be on a Mach 10 because of it.
Could have been full AKs out across the entire board, but little do they realize. Impact had, Zedco gets the opener, Impulse can at least trade him, so it maintains a 4 versus 4. But 1 AK's already been dropped here for ONYX, and Bondic can be next to fall down. He does dish out some damage. Dimkey catches B-Stick in the meanwhile.
That gets a pick out near the closed vent position itself. Neofrag has an idea of where he is, thinking about putting the incendiary down. Oh, late to do so. Dimkey catches him off.
Turn away at the wrong moment. Shock struggles to get that kill. He's going to burn quite significantly and eventually go down towards that Mach 10. M4 Oscar comes back in the backstab, but Impulse is there still at Squeaky, waiting to deal with him. And ONYX, despite the limitations of the buy, still find a round.
What is going on there? We're just seeing so much frantic fragging coming through from both teams, and for Sinners, just caught very flat. Shock struggling to be able to find picks, dropping down from that heaven position himself. Oscar just getting backstabbed in from Squeak Door, no idea about it. And economy reset in from Sinners means that they have to be on force player territory.
Scout set the M4s in. Oscar going to try leaning in. Initially with his teammates. Smokes go down to the outside as the Scout as Zedco tries to isolate someone but can't see anything top of silo. He's held at the close side of the smokes rather than looking out towards the outside. In the yard, he's got a teammate. Oscar ready with his M4. What can he find against JR? And the rest of the T side, a dink. That's it.
It's not enough, is it? Whenever you've got a rifle at a setup where you're on a force buy and there's not much else to back it up, you've got to be looking at multitude of frags, and really, that's not going to happen at all. This could just be an instant save now for Sinners.
Diego sat back here from one of the individuals. Shock spamming his way forward, hoping he can catch some sort of stray bullet or some sort of casualty, some sort of tag that might enable a kill, but it's not going to happen. ONYX have full control of the site, and they'll have full control of the lead.
This is starting to get quite interesting, because even though ONYX haven't quite had that advantage of being able to sort of get leads and push it forward, they're keeping it so close. And now when you think to yourself, okay, they're going to get to 10, Sinners, they're going to have the same sort of buy, they're holding onto a lot of weapons, so you can kind of look at it as another force buy, except they're holding onto cash. This could be 10 rounds turned into 11, and ONYX now start putting themselves in a position where you can start thinking about, are we actually going to map 3 here?
But it definitely looks better than map 1, I'll give you that. I wouldn't put it past you, not to make that assumption, but to discuss that probability, that possibility. ONYX Oh, the lead, and as you mentioned before, should in theory have 11-9. There isn't a buyback for Sinners in this next round. It's just the pistols and the Kevlar that they had saved from the previous round. The scout coming in as well. Oscar passed off that, looking up and out into the outside control. Lobby crunch in on the CT side, sees nothing here for ONYX. I'm also going to hear these footsteps. They know that they're indoors.
And just start working outside, just waiting for over-aggression to come through. ONYX keeping eyes up on the T-roof. And now for the CTs, they can start focusing their attention outside.
Boost up to goal was heard, and they spray him out. Wilson back, spams away as they make their way downstairs into the secret control. A lot of CTs down here, though. You can see there's a scout being set up with a pistol on Zedco. Awkward little crossfire. And ONYX continues to hold the T-roof, expecting there to be a backstab.
Now, anytime you jump in CS, you're always going to make a slight sound cue. And in that position right there, that's what they heard on the edge of the smoke. Is just, okay, there's a boost up. Someone's getting on top of someone else. Sinners have just got to try and see if they can somehow force the gamble into the T-side approach.
B-stick v ONYX. Sees the shadow, but the Deagle shot's not accurate enough, so ONYX can draw first blood in the round. Check out all positions towards outside. Zedco next to face. P250 sees Dim Key. Just about gets that kill. Got to focus on Impulse next. He's going to cover off that trade. Keeping at the advantage for ONYX. Now comes up to the site defenders here on B. Do ONYX think about a dive? Do they go up to the A site? I think it might well be the A play here. Yeah, recognition that there's no one upstairs. So bomb down. T-round.
Yeah, Sinners, you play the risk, don't you? You've already lost a couple of fights. Okay, let's stack up. Shock is low. Oscar's half HP. Let's just play towards lower and hope that they run into our trap. They might as well try and send it for some exit frags and see if they can recover any sort of T-side weapons, because really, they're not saving much going into the next round.
They'll have a buyback, so you're kind of right on that front, but Sinners are being a bit more tentative about this. Shock and Neofrag at least can justify the save of the Kevlar. Oscar's got no Kevlar and a scout. He doesn't want to keep into the gun round. Ultimately, will not get a chance to bite at the ONYX exit frags. They'll get away completely unscathed here for the four remaining players. We'll go 11-9 up for ONYX. Sinners back on the rebuy. Still two to make up for the favourites in this series. But as you mentioned, ONYX are on a real roll.
Yeah, they are. And they're getting into themselves in a position where they're looking very comfortable. Everyone is delivering. Dav is slightly lower down, only at 9 kills. Everybody else, though, is putting on some good numbers. You've got to start wondering to yourself when Sinners are really going to be able to strike, and you'd have to expect it's going to be this round here. Zedco still with the scout. No AWP potential for Oscar at all so far in the second half.
Start with the M4s instead. Scout in on Zedco. B-stick waiting here with the SMG out open then. They have no idea. They've walked right past the CT individual, and they're going to catch the bomb carrier for it. Swing back in a second, man. Can switch back to an AK, but he gets the triple. He truly is a V-stick. Turning up the M4. Can he get a quadra? Not quite, but it doesn't matter. Impulse has found just 1 or 2 frags here in this round, as Sinners find the round itself.
Well, if that doesn't knock confidence over to ONYX, I don't know what does. What a round coming through from V-stick. Decently long-ranged onto the closed vent position. The turnaround to make it 3, dropping that bomb and getting the support in from Shock on rotation up to heaven. Sinners getting away with so many rifles, so many AKs they can work with now into the next.
Swing in for Oscar. Doesn't see JR. He does now. Frag found. Dive down. Keeps himself away from the next T-side member. Nade onto his position. Will tag Dav. Force him back as ONYX continue pressing in, looking towards the squeaky door. B-stick set in with the smokes down against his position. He'll just cover them off. ONYX down by a man and will continue to hold their own.
The more counter utility comes through towards his upper take, the longer it takes. And what is that for Neofrag? He just aggresses out from HUD itself. ONYX are thinking, right, we're going to go ramp. We're going to set ourselves up with the util. And then Neofrag just aggresses. No information.
And no resistance. All players were looking away from that. Dav trying to get some responsives in. Only find that one pick onto Neofrag. The timing's perfect, and Sinners with the guns out in full just absolutely decimate ONYX. Brilliant stuff again from them. That just sucks so much for ONYX. I just had no idea. Lined up easy, kills come in. And the economy is a bit lopsided. If a buy comes through, it won't be in full. This has got to be a tactical timeout for ONYX here to figure things out. A third one for them called in this map.
And I don't mean to be rude at all for Sinners, but that play, it's a boneheaded play, right? It's one of those where it's not necessary, it comes out, but it has that extra, right? That flash behind it. It's not just Neofrag aggressing out from Heart and just looking for frags, being hungry. There's thought process behind it. And sometimes you've got to have those odd plays, those odd boneheaded moments where it just catches an opposition completely off guard. There was no one expecting an aggressive play out of the lobby at all from ONYX.
Outside positions held at the T-side line. Dav was soon at the gap, and that smoke. The spray's not quite good enough for the CT AK. In this round, ONYX have forced to buy it back. Tech9's initially incendiaries on. Molotov's up for the T side. Suppression involved. B-Stick just going to wait.
It's all about the crossfire. Oscar coming in a decent position. Flash over the top, try and turn him away. JR knows he's there, but he doesn't know about the vent player. They deal with Oscar anyway.
Flashes in against B-Stick. They know that he must be out here over at Decon. They've opened up the doorways, opened up the windows. Bedco with a kill. Needs to find the second with Dim Key. Struggles against it. Transfers to BoNYX, dishing out the damage. And a 3-on-2 as B-Stick also chimed in the interim. Advantage for the CT side. B is relatively open, though. B-Stick's going to challenge on the one CT member. He's low. Just trying to bait in a mistake, knowing he's out there somewhere in the window. Neofrag comes up with the AUG. Sprays around, but JR gets out of dodge. That nade will land more further damage. It won't get the kills, and all this distraction being pulled is going to allow that bomb plant to come in. JR will eventually get wrapped in a pond. The BoNYX can dive down to get the plant.
Get that extra little bit of money forward. He's planning open for the vent position, and now this bomb's surely never going to go down at all. No one's really peeking. They're just jiggling the angles. Does get that one pick, so it opens up the chance again.
Will eventually get that plant in. Shouldn't have really found that kill. And get shocked. That's a very expensive round for the CT side, as once again, the T's put up as much hurt as possible. But that was a buy round. Is the loss bonus plus bomb plant bonus going to be enough for another rebuy?
That was a really good attempt coming through from BoNYX, and he is a class player. He is someone that can get you out of some very tricky positions. And for JR, he's trapped. They know he's out there from observation. The pre-fire comes through. B-Stick over-aggressors even just a slight further too much. That extra bomb plant's going to give them a money. You're right about the loss bonus, though. I don't think there's going to be too much of a buy on the table, and no, there isn't at all. They're going to half buy it down.
Mac 10 being at least a decent weapon of the SMG, Deagles, and 2 Tech9s. Nade smokes, set in with the flashes over. Dimkey leaning up and out. Dive in from JR as Zedco and B-Stick find their kills. Zedco still at point blank here against Dimkey. Struggles to run out of ammo, actually, so the kill does come back for the T-side line. And a kill back for Impulse as well, but both players are such low HP that it should be easy pickings for the rest of the T-side line. The ball's even been down at the vents. So even if Dimkey can fight his way out of this, to get back downstairs, virtually impossible. Shot closes, 13 for Sinners.
It just feels as if the pace of these rounds being successful is starting to get quick from Sinners. And that starts messing with the mental attitude as well for ONYX, that you're just starting to lose it. You start feeling as if that fire in the belly of that upset is just moving away. And honestly, if this round 26 gun round does not come through from them, Jay, I don't know how many more rounds they've got as a chance.
The double upset in for Sinners, of course, heavily investing to get themselves bolstered up with as many weapons as possible. Shock and Oscar with snipers. Shock set towards this ramp position. Oscar's set outside here at the secret position. See the smokes coming in. We'll recognize that they're going to come in towards an outside play. Utility down. Molotovs in. JR just watching. Depression is involved.
All about the peek up. All about the timing. He'll probably just face, try and get a pick and fall back.
Just barely missed out a chance. Nade on. Damage not quite coming through in full.
Zedco.
Is that a T-side player's right past him? JR gets killed off, and Dimkey's low HP allows a second kill. Not quite that third, but Impulse is so tradable. 6 points of health for him.
Oh, what a setup. He's been able to set the team in that garage position. 2 kills, you could pretty much call it the third. And Dav and Bondig have now got to try and work a 2v4. They've got bomb control. We know what Bondig's been like in these sort of situations.
Now he's all alone with his teammate dropped out of credit card, and unfortunately, those previous scenarios, those previous clutch moments are not going to come to fruition for him. 14-11, Sinners bearing down upon ONYX. A heavy, heavy buy round. This is a confident getaway here for the CT side.
Yeah, Shock, great shot with the NWP, just being consistent, and Neofrag couldn't have timed that even better. I like the way that he didn't completely swing in for that last kill. He waited just that fraction of a second to pull the attention back over from Bondig, and for ONYX, they're not quite completely forcing it. They're having a lot of pace in the half-by, though.
Ooh, miss smokes, and that's a big gap for Oscar to exploit. And a resmoke does go down to block off the red box cross. The blind taps from Zedko, going to try and look for tags up. He won't get any kills. Meanwhile, the Orb Shock's working down towards the double doors. And ONYX is going to try and make this a very quick exit into the B site. Flicked on, shot connection, 2 players left. 1 trade back from JR is good, but Oscar there to drop the bomb as it goes way too aggressive. Should have committed to sight, and JR is quick to drop the same. 4 kills for Oscar, and match point for Sinners.
And this streak is just starting to get larger and larger for the Czech team. 6 rounds in a row has started going their way. And we're seeing sloppiness, aren't we? Just misutil. In terms of timings on peakings together, it's got to be tighter. It's got to be stronger. Not even getting a bomb plant. Okay, ONYX, what have they got left? Have they got anything left?
The all-important question, I'd assume. Shot on for Dimkey, that's an encouraging start. Zedko with teammates towards outside. JR's going to sneak ahead of this smoke. Oh, the red box player could be important. Oscar having his back turned, allowed JR to get that kill. Swing back on the second man, not quite as successful. B-stick traded by Dimkey. Zedko working in alongside Shock that nade on Dav. Gets his kill to drop the bomb. The Orb forces forward. Has not seen Bondig yet. He has heard Dimkey though. And can quick scope it, look back in. Go for a no-scope. Make it a quadra to close it down. 16-11 for Sinners. And they make their way in as the first team through to the V4 Future Sport Plan.
Oh my